So I am Lesley Garber. I am your board secretary. I assist downstairs with the kids. I sing on the music team, and I've been asked to be a Sunday assistant. So it is my pleasure to be here this morning and talk about some of the tenets of this book. I think it's a revolutionary book and just changes my way of thinking about the flow. And we're talking about water and the flow of life. I had read in one translation by Wayne Dyer of the Tao Te Ching that one of the readings is that we should be like water in our entirety and flow around obstacles, into crevices, exploring, and that's always kind of stuck with me. And this book is saying that, in one chapter anyway, money is like water. So what is money? Money is a lot of things to different people, but you can think of it in this sense as energy. And to allow energy to flow from place to place is very important. I wanted to share a story with you, and then I'll read a quote. Lynn Twist, the author of the book, is a fundraiser for the Hunger Project, which aims to end world hunger. And she, at one point, had gone to a food company's executive office and was given a check for $50,000. Ooh, it was the largest check she had ever received. But it didn't feel good to her. She took it at the moment. But she had been invited to a fundraising event in Harlem. And you kind of think, well, Harlem is not the best place to be fundraising. How is it going to go? She had all these doubts. And when she showed up to the church where the fundraising event was to be held, it was an old, kind of crumbled down church. It had leaks in the roof and pans of water all the way around trying to catch the drips. And she was uncertain. So she went to the front of the podium and she gave her spiel about what the Hunger Project does and what kinds of things they could expect their money to do for the project. And then she finished, and there was silence. And everybody kind of looked around to each other. And then there was a lady in the back who said, "Girl, my name is Gertrude, and I like what you said, and I like you," she said. "Now, I ain't got no checkbook, and I ain't got no credit cards. To me, money is a lot like water. For some folks, it rushes through their life like a raging river. Money comes through my life in a little trickle. But I pass it on in a way that does the most good for the most folks. I see that as my right and as my responsibility. It is also my joy. I have $50 in my purse that I earned from doing a white woman's wash, and I want to give it to you." And then lower down here, Lynn Twist says, "The money I received from Gertrude carried the energy of her commitment to make a difference. And as I accepted the money, I felt inspired by her and was renewed by her expression of integrity and purpose." Overall that night, they raised a total of $500, which seemed like not much compared to the $50,000 that she had gotten from the food executive, but it was more genuine. It was more whole. It was all these people could afford, and they were doing it with good purpose in their hearts. The money was flowing through them to people who would do with it the best that they could do. And that epitomizes the flow of energy in all of our lives. We have the ability to direct it. We have the ability to use it, to save it, to hoard it. And those kinds of things, when we do hoard and we don't flow through it, we don't allow it to flow through us, can cause problems. If we never give any money, let's say that, I'm joking, but let's say that we never bought anything else again. We never bought food at the grocery store. We never went out to dinner. We never went to the movies. We never donated to causes that we appreciate and are finding to be helpful. What would happen? Our economy would die. we would all crumble up and die because we had stopped the flow of this type of energy. And so that is the kind of things that I want you to think about as you're going through your day. We have the laws of giving and receiving that we've talked about here before. And that is the principle, is that as you give, so shall you receive. But if you never give, then you don't receive as easily, and vice versa. If you don't allow yourself to receive, then you have nothing to give. And that's in terms of your own personal energy. There's lots of different ways that we can give. It's not just money. So anyway, that was the first chapter in the group of 3 that I was to present to you today. And the second one, it kind of flows into the second one, which is what you appreciate appreciates. And I know we've all heard this before. I see some head nodding. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and she is in the midst of a bankruptcy and just not doing real well financially. And I was talking to her about a book that I had recently read called Happy Money. And I would suggest you check it out if you have a chance. It's very lighthearted in the way it's written. And it's by Ken Honda. But in it, he's Japanese, and there's a man in Japan who's a big businessman, very famous, very wealthy, very successful. And Ken Honda says to him one day, if you had to tell me one thing, what is the secret to wealth? And this guy says, arigato in and arigato out, which means thank your money in, thank your money out. So when we appreciate our money, whether we're receiving it or we're giving it, more of it will come. Because where intention goes, energy flows, all of those little sayings that we've heard from Wayne Dyer and everybody else in the personal growth sector. And so when you are buying something at the store, you can say, just in your mind, thank you for this money to buy this food for me today. If you write a check, I don't know how many of you still write checks. I do. I always write TYG, thank you God, on my checks. And I remember to be appreciative of the service that I received from this company and just to say thank you. And also, as I'm donating money, say to the church or elsewhere, we bless the money always before we give it in hopes that it will have the effect that we want it to have. And as we appreciate that donation, we send love and appreciation to the organization. And everybody has a better experience when we all come together. So we can appreciate many different things in life. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be big things. If we can find things to appreciate every day, like even the dandelions, cute little yellow flowers. They have their purpose. They feed the bees. We can appreciate little things that people have said to us. We can appreciate the beautiful little butterflies that we still have hanging around the sanctuary. I came in and appreciated those this morning. But at the end of your day, to take a few moments and either mentally or written out to write 2 or 3 things that you appreciated during the day helps just kind of keep that energy of appreciation flowing and flowing and flowing. And the more we can be appreciative, even of ourselves too, we have to be appreciative of ourselves. I don't know if you guys remember Georgie's body blessing from a while ago. She had made a recording of it at one point, where you're going to go from head to toe, and you thank your head, and you thank your eyes from being able to see, and so on and so forth. I tend to go into a little more detail, and I think my spleen and my small intestine and stuff like that, since I've, and the liver, and the gallbladder even, the bladder, yes. So you don't have to go in that much detail, but just saying, if you wanted to. It gets quite long when you do that, though. But thank your neck for holding your head up and watching everything around you. When we come together and we bring that energy of appreciation, then it multiplies. We can appreciate things about each other and give each other compliments. Those kinds of things can be very helpful in improving the way others feel, and then the way we feel about ourselves. The last thing, and this is the one I wanted to spend the most time on, is that collaboration is the key. We talk a lot about prosperity and earning money and being appreciative of money and all those things, but sometimes that's not what someone has to give. They have, let's see here, I think I blew past my... Oh, let me just read this one statement here. I forgot earlier. In philanthropic interactions, we can return to the soul of money. Money is a carrier of our intentions, money as energy, money as currency for love, commitment, and service. Money as an opportunity to nourish those things we care about most. When we are in the domain of the soul, we imbue the money that flows through our lives with that energy. That's our appreciation. This kind of soulful relatedness creates a flow of what I call blessed money, money that has a surprising power to it. Okay, I wanted to read a quote I found from Jimmy Carter in just kind of appreciating differences. He said that we become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams. And that's who we all are. We are all expressions of God. We've talked about that lots of times, and I hope that that's something that sits in your soul. But we are all unique expressions of God. And we each have our own talents and our own ideas and our own things that we can give. Okay, so in the collaboration section of her book, she tells a really interesting story, and we're going to do a visioning of this when we do our meditation. But she talks about a group of people in a very poor area, and an organization that she was a part of came to this area, and they started giving what they called thought, vision, and action workshops to these people. And these people were very poor. They depended on financial aid coming in. They saw themselves as helpless, hopeless, and dependent on everybody else to take care of them. And the goal of these workshops was to get them to see the resources inside themselves and know that they could do things for themselves and they could work together. So they had large gatherings, and then the people who were at the large gatherings would go to their villages and give other gatherings. And that was done by this one man. And he then, after the gathering in his village, which had about 18,000 people in it, he got 6 of his friends, so there were 7 of them, and they sat and they kind of did like a workshop by themselves. And they said, you know, what can we do? We have government land that's full of brambles and all kinds of sticker bushes and stuff that's just not really manageable. But what they did is they agreed, or they got the government to agree to allow them to clear the land, to build a road, and then they started cultivating. And just the 7 of them did that. She calls them a magnificent 7. And so they started doing that. I think they started up with 17 acres of land, and they started growing things. And when the other villagers saw what they were doing, they said, wow, I want to be a part of that. And so they started joining in, and I think at one point they had over 100 acres. And then they were all farming, they were teaching each other, they were working together, and they became self-sufficient by doing this. It was all through their collaboration, working together, that this miracle happened. And they became unreliant on any aid. They didn't need anything for themselves. They took care of themselves completely. And I just love that story because it brings a little tear to my eye. But if we think about Unity of Salem as an organization with different people and unique ideas, unique expressions, some of us have more money to give. Some of us have more sweat equity, she calls it. And others of us are more the visionaries to create ideas, get people to follow them. They're more the leaders. And all of that is important. It's important that we commit to what we believe in. Do we believe in ourselves and in Unity of Salem as someplace that's important to us? That's something that we have to decide. And then we need to decide in what way are we going to contribute to the growth and future potential of this wonderful little church. Can you afford to give another $5 per month? Can you volunteer to be the greeter? Could you be an usher? Could you just show up and sing? Sometimes that's all we need. Show up and sing. So I am so grateful to be with all of you because I know that each one of you does put your effort and intention into this place. And it's something that you can do for your own life too, though. What kinds of things do you want to accomplish in your own life? What's important to you? How would you direct your money if you wanted to? She tells a little bit of just a brief story about having a grandchild and her son telling her, "Hey, Mom, I don't want you to go on a shopping spree and buy my granddaughter tons of stuff that she doesn't need from kind of questionable sources. We want sustainable resource places. We want places that don't use artificial dyes. We want companies that are in alignment with our values." And she was shocked by this, but it came around eventually and decided that she was able to use that kind of a vision to collaborate with other people in her family to put their money where their values were. And we do this every day. Are we going to buy organic food? Are we going to buy regular food? Are we going to eat some vegetables? Are we going to eat fruit? But we make all these choices all the time. And at some point, we have to kind of take time to vision what is our life going to be like. And I know some people will say, well, my life's been the same way it's been for the last 20 years. And I'm not changing. And nobody has to change. I'm not suggesting that. But life can always be more. The divine is infinite. We are infinite in all the different things that we could potentially experience. And we can do it individually, and we can do it as a group. So I invite you all to think about this week. I know this is a shorter talk, but that seems to be my mojo. But I'm just so excited to be here and see us learning and growing together. And I learn from all of you every time I talk to one of you. So it's such a blessing. So we're going to take this into meditation. And we're going to do, like I said, a little bit of a visioning. And we're going to do this. You can think about Unity of Salem later, but for now I want you to focus on your own lives. So go ahead and get comfortable in your seats. Put your feet on the floor. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. And we're going to start by grounding ourselves. I've already grounded the whole room, but let's just imagine grounding ourselves. Feel the chair beneath you. Feel your back against the chair, your feet on the floor. And imagine tree trunks growing out of the bottom of your feet, going down to the core of the earth and anchoring you to Mother Nature. Now feel the love of God coming through the top of your head and wrapping around your heart, then filling your body from head to toe with a bright white light. And it is in this energy that we envision our lives. What are the top 3 things that are most important for you that you would like to accomplish, experience, or have, or give, say in the next 3 years? What's important to you? We have families that are important to us. We have financial goals, security. We have donations. We have public activism for some people. And we know that we are guided every day by the divine. Guided to meet the right people in the right places at the right time with the next step. For there is always a next step that could be taken. If we sit at home and do nothing, then we are stagnating. And Tony Robbins always said, I'm sure other people say this, but Tony Robbins says, if you are not growing, you are dying. Grow with God. Try something new. Learn about companies and what their values are and where you spend your money. But come back to those 3 important things and decide how can you act towards them. Act on them. How do you want to collaborate with others to do what is yours to do? One goal is to love yourself so that you can love others and appreciate things as time goes by. But there is always more. And you take one step at a time so as not to get overwhelmed. And you just have to decide. And when the time is right, you will. Now we're going to slip into some silence for a few moments so you can ponder your top 3 items and let those ideas flow through your body. And as we come back into this space and we feel our feet on the ground, we know that God is blessing each and every one of us and guiding us along our path in this earth school that we all are in. You may open your eyes.